Hello, my name's Carl. I live off grid. Have lived off grid for about 7 years, and I was able to do this on a shoestring budget. So for a lot less money than what many people have been able to do it for. Um, and this channel is all about practical advice on how to get there. And there's more than one way to get there. But here's what I found. I found that by going down this path, which is kind of the opposite from what everyone has always told me I should go. Like everybody's always told me I should get a good job and try and get raises or promotions or get another job or start a business. Whatever you can do, make a lot of money. And no one ever talked about saving money. Um, and that's the other side of the equation, isn't it? Whether you have a business or a household, you have two things to worry about. One is income, right? How much money are you getting this month? And two is expenses, right? Your costs. So I can't tell you how to make more money because I've never been all that great at it. I've never had too much problem getting money when I needed it because I have a lot of skills. But, you know, I can tell you how to save money. And that's the thing, isn't it? It's like you if you earn an extra dollar, you don't really earn an extra dollar because the government is going to take what, 25, 30% of that. So um, you don't really earn a dollar, you earn about 70 cents. However, but if you save a dollar, if you figure out some way to cut a dollar from your expenses every month, then you're actually ahead monetarily, uh, more than if you actually earned an extra dollar. So think about that for a second. How is it possible to radically reduce your costs in life without having to lower your comfort levels like through the floor? I'm not talking about living in a mud hut, although I think that for some people in the world that's a viable option and they can live happy lives that way. They're not doomed to suffering as we think they might be just because they don't have endless hot running water. But at the same time, we live in a society of an abundance. So basically, using the waste stream as a way to actually get ahead in life is something that not too many people think to do. But this house here that I'm sitting in was built using local rough cut lumber. It was built using windows that I actually got for free on the side of the road. People, when they do remodeling jobs around here, they just put the old windows out. So they're all double pane windows. Um, you can literally build a house and save a huge amount of money just by tapping into the waste stream. So that's something else I want to talk about a lot on this channel. So, yeah, it's all practical advice and basically how to escape the rat race, you know? Because what is the rat race? Well, when you think about it, the heart of the rat race is what's called the iron triangle. So, what is the iron triangle? The iron triangle is in order to be a participant in our economy, in other words, the industrial system, you have to earn money. Well, to earn money, you have to get a job, of course. And in order to get a job, you probably have to go far from where you're living, far enough that you're going to need transportation, a car, probably. So you have to pay for a car with your job to get to the job. And so part of the money that you're earning from the job is paying for this expensive, quote unquote, reliable car. Then you also need a place to live, right? Because isn't that the point of living? To have a place to live? So, anyway, what you want to do is you want to pay for that place that you're living with the money that you're getting from the job. So, you need the job to have a place to live, and you also need the job to have a car so that you can get to the job. But you also need a place to live so you can keep the job. Because if you don't take a shower, you're going to get fired. So that's the simple story of the Iron Triangle is you need the house, the car, and the job in order to participate in the industrial system, in the industrial economy. However, you don't necessarily have to participate in the industrial system to the extent that so many other people are participating. So in other words, say that you could live in a tent or an old RV instead of a house. Then you don't have nearly as much to pay for. Like, for instance, when I first moved onto this land, it was just raw, uncut land. And I lived in a tent for 6 months. Luckily, where I live here, there's no one that's going to bug me on that. There's no zoning or planning or, housing regulation, or don't have to ask anyone's permission to sleep in a tent on my own land. In a number of states, it's illegal to camp on your own land for more than maybe like a week or two a year. So anyway, here in Vermont, where I live, there's no zoning and planning, and you can live in a tent on your own land. No big deal. Nobody cares. As long as you're not destroying the land, polluting the land, whatever. So I lived in a tent for a few weeks, and not weeks, but months. And I was able to get a pretty inexpensive old RV. Basically, I think it was like $600, and it was kind of mouse infested and kind of gross, but it was better than a tent. So I bought that for $600. I went, I think it was about maybe 150 miles away. And all it needed was just some brake work, which I was able to do the very day I went to go pick it up. Went to a parts store, and they actually had the parts, and it wasn't that hard to do. I've been working on cars for over 40 years, on my own cars, not professionally. And so basically, you can do it. You can get inexpensive housing, but the trick is to find a place where you have land, or to buy land in a place where you don't have to ask someone's permission to be poor and live on your own land. In most places, you have to ask permission. And usually they say no. They say, like, wait, you're poor? You can't have just a turnkey house? You can't pay $500,000 for a house? What? You're not really supposed to be living here, I think we need to make a law saying that you can't camp here. You can't live in your little RV. So anyway, I lived in an RV for 6 months, and then I moved into a 400 square foot tiny house, solar powered electric, and wood stove, and no running water. But when you have to carry water in, you find ways to not use much. I use about 2 gallons of water a day. And I also developed a system for safely dealing with that 2 gallons of wastewater, gray water every day. I have a system that's a zero discharge system. So in other words, none of it ever touches the ground, which is the whole essence of a lot of those wastewater laws. So anyway, I want to do some episodes on that, and just got a lot to talk about because I've certainly learned so much over the years on how to go down this path. And all I can say is that although my life isn't necessarily as comfortable as somebody living in a penthouse overlooking Central Park with every meal is catered to my door, but I am living a really good life because I've got my expenses down to the point where I literally only have to come up with like $400, maybe $500 a month. Literally, for everything. Property taxes, food, transportation, everything. And that means that I only have to work. Well, at contractors' rates, I have to work maybe like 10 or 15 hours a month. Can you imagine that? Having a life where you only had to work 10 hours a month or even 20 hours a month. Can you imagine? That's only 5 hours a week. That is so nice. And that's totally doable. If you go down the path of saving money or figuring out how to set up your life so you can break out of the iron triangle, then you really can have a much better life just simply because you'll have so much more time. And when you have more time, it means that you can make good food for yourself. It means you can grow your own food and have chickens and goats and whatever you want. You can learn how to fix cars. You can learn how to build things. You can learn all kinds of stuff because you have the time to do it. But when you spend all your time building someone else's dream instead of your own, then you're gonna basically realize one day that you've spent your whole life building someone else's dream instead of your own. So consider this possibility. There are other ways to get ahead in life aside from just earning more money. It seems like that doesn't even work. I mean, I've tried it and I get up to a point, but it's really hard to get beyond that point, right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe if you're lucky, you jump onto Bitcoin when it's early or something. But geez, I don't know. I feel like our whole industrial society is poised for a downfall. I don't know when, but it's probably my lifetime and yours too. So I would recommend looking into alternative ways of living. And I feel like you'll be much more empowered if you do so. And I hope to have more good videos that are helpful. And I don't really care about the money. I just have information to offer, skills, experience, and so forth. And if you're interested, I guess you'll tune in. All right. Well, talk to you later. Bye-bye.